My name is Connor, and I confess that I've secluded myself. Well, I mean, what does this mean? It sounds kind of intense. I'm a pretty sociable guy, so it's not like I've secluded myself from, hanging out with people or anything. Well, I haven't secluded myself from all people. During a period of life in which I've had plenty of time to reflect, I've taken time to meditate on my life and what I'm learning, and one of the biggest realizations I've had is just how blessed I am. I've got wonderful parents, 2 awesome brothers, and now 2 dope sister-in-laws. Because of this, I was provided very well for growing up, encouraged to do well in school, supported by my whole family in sports, academia, athletics, relationships. I got along with everyone. I graduated with a solid GPA and attended the University of Minnesota. I was able to get good interest rates on loans. I was able to find jobs and internships during school because I had decent social skills, not necessarily because I had the grades to prove it. Somehow I could sell that a company would, benefit from having me. How I did that, I'll never know. I joined student groups that my brothers had joined while they were in school as well, and made many lifelong friends within those same groups. I always had money in my bank account to go to Applebee's, to retreats, and to buy my books. I did, and still do to this day, measure the value of all items and their worth in Chipotle burritos. My whole life I've been surrounded by people who look just like me. My high school was mostly people who looked and acted just like me. My youth group was people of the same socioeconomic status and skin color as me. I went to an extremely diverse college though, but at the same time, there's people from all around the world. However, I still chose to get involved in campus groups, sports teams, and activities where I was surrounded by people who looked just like me. People who spoke like, acted like, and lived like me. I was around people who had similar backgrounds as me. Am I saying this is a bad thing? Oh, of course not. Not necessarily. It's not like I consciously did this or intentionally did this. I say a lot of us probably do this. It's comfortable. And it's what I knew. In college, I ended up reading a book called Generous Justice. My dad had actually recommended to me. If you've known me for very long, you'll know faith. My Christian faith is very important to me. And as I've read that book and pondered God's heart for an identification with the oppressed, and even looked at how Jesus loved people in the Gospels, I've been convicted. Jesus loved those who were different, those who didn't fit in the acceptable crowd, who couldn't be fit in a box, those who were part of the kind of other group, the have-nots, the oppressed, the widowed, the orphans. And I realized that just hasn't been indicative of my life. I haven't been that way. It's ironic, but if you guys have heard of Strengths Finders, my top skill, or my top gift or strength, if you will, is includer. And in many cases in my life, I've decided to punt on that. I've only included those whom I'm comfortable including. If you take a look at my Facebook page, you'll probably find the word comfortable just written across it. And this has only become more convincing to me with the recent and dark murdering of George Floyd right here in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I was maybe a little bit desensitized to it. I was just trying to figure out what I thought about the whole thing. But as time went on, I started reflecting more. It took time. But I realized if Jesus' heart is for those who are hurting, then why isn't mine? If he has had, or if my faith has had any impact on my life, then why do I continue to exclude those who are different than me? Or even ignore the injustice in the world around me, on my streets or in our neighborhoods that are close to me. After going to the George Floyd Memorial, I kind of had the realization, if I can't love George Floyd, or if I can't love those in similar situations, then what am I doing? Should love really be confined to my neighborhood and my zip code? I'm learning how to love those whom I've secluded myself from loving. And I'm seeking ways to listen and to live my life through conversation and conduct inspired by Micah 6:8. I'll read it, I guess. He has told you, O man, what is good. And what does the Lord require of you but to do justice and to love kindness and to walk humbly with your God? And moving forward, may my life be more and more marked by this. I'm Connor, and I confess that I've secluded myself.